Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the PSERTOYS Steel Krypton. This is basically a third-party, unauthorized, unlicensed General Zod figure from Man of Steel or The Flash. This is a 1/12 scale, cloth soft goods, Mezco style figure. Now I have a couple things from PSERTOYS, the Batman That Laughs, and the sort of Hush style black and gray Batman. And they're pretty nice, so I have a pretty good idea what to expect. Something that's pretty close to Mezco quality, maybe just a hair below. And it's a General Zod figure. Pretty cool. Now, the place I ordered from, Toys Metaverse, sent me an email. Of course, it was after this thing shipped, saying that there are none of the heads included because there was a factory flaw, the paints were no good, so they pulled all the heads out, and they're going to send them to me separately. Pretty annoying. Something I would have liked to have known before they shipped it, because obviously they knew before they shipped it, but I'm sure they're going to make it right. They've never done me wrong before. But it's going to make me wait another probably 2 weeks before I can actually review this thing. That being said, let's take a look at the packaging. In the front, it says Steel Krypton, and he looks, honestly, like a Terminator. I don't know why he has one eye glowing like that. He does have heat vision, but I've never seen him do it with just one eye before. Although I'm sure they can. Steel Krypton, General Zod there. You can see his outfit. Looks like Man of Steel. Blank on the sides, the back. Here he is with the helmet on, the Kryptonian armor. And there's no barcode because this is not a legitimately licensed figure. Open it up. Have the sort of Zod logo there. And here he's in the package, but we have some blank spots where the heads would go. So with no further ado, let's open them up. But I'm not going to finish the review till I get the heads. So when you order a Toys Metaverse, typically you have to put like a down payment on it, sort of securing your spot. And then when the thing comes to stock, you send a second payment. I saw a post on Instagram from Toys Metaverse. They said they only got 30% of their first order of General Zod, first come, first serve. So I hurried up, paid for my order, but got him a little bit headless. So it's been about a week, and I finally got the heads in. They came in these 3 small little bags in a generic box, but thank you, Toy Metaverse, for making this right. Or if it was PSERTOYS, either way, good to go. Delay was a little annoying, but it's all good now. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He has quite a bit of cool stuff. We have a total of 8 alternate hands, totaling 10 interchangeable hands. A total of 5 heads, 3 of which are unmasked. 1 is unmasked normal, and 1 is sort of semi-translucent. We also have removable cape, and then a swappable forearm armor with an attached blade. Before I take a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is General Zod from either the Man of Steel or from the Flash. It doesn't really matter because those take place during the same time, and it's really the exact same person, just in a different multiverse. It's a cool figure to have. With the armor, kind of reminds me of an engineer from Prometheus. And this is a third-party, unauthorized, unlicensed figure, similar to Mezco, so let's take a look. Starting with his face here. First of all, the paint job's pretty nice. The silver is metallic, kind of shiny, looks good. Looking at his face here on the helmet, it totally reminds me of General Zod from Man of Steel. I remember that when I first saw it, how it looked, and it looks very similar. Sculpting lines at the top, good texturing, good sculpt all around the armor. Kind of has that breathing apparatus going down. Shoulder pads, and below that we do have some cloth soft goods. Very stretchy. I wonder how we look with the armor off, but it's attached. Looks like we have double jointed elbows. They go in pretty far. All these extra pieces, they kind of move around a little bit. No articulation, just have some give to them, so they're not going to break and snap off too easily. Double jointed knees. As a whole, I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. The armor is fantastic. All the detailing, even on the cloth soft good, it has a nice amount of texturing on it. Reminds me of the black suit that General Zod wore. So far, so good. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, I'd say maybe it looks a little bit different from the promo pictures, but it definitely captures that look of General Zod and his armor from Man of Steel. Now let's talk about his armor for a second. I was curious, can you remove some of the armor? So I messed with it for a bit, and you can take some of the armor off. So you can sort of peel off the front part here and expose General Zod's logo on the fabric suit underneath there. And I think I kind of snapped a little piece out there. I think a small piece was glued onto something here. So you can't take all that off. And frankly, if you really wanted to, you could probably take all the armor off, but I don't think you put it all back on. It's kind of tempting to get a second one just to see what it looked like without the armor, but not tempting enough to actually do it. The armor looks fantastic, and even though I don't think it's supposed to fully come off, I was able to put it back on with absolute ease, and it fits pretty nicely. Just make sure everything's kind of in the right place, push it back down, and you can see the shoulder pads are on the shoulders nicely. They also have articulation. You can't pop those things off. They pop right back in. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories. And let's start with his hands. He has a total of 10 hands, 5 right hands, and 5 left hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And then his second pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands. And here's his third pair of hands. This is a pair of pointing hands. Pointing at Superman, accusing him of stealing the Codex, ruining Krypton. And now his next pair of hands. This looks like a pair of grabbing, choking, or throwing hands. And here's his last pair of hands. These are a pair of default hands. They would look good relaxed at his sides. Now let's look at his heads. He has a total of 5 of them. 1 with a helmet on, 1 with the helmet semi-transparent, and then 3 unmasked heads. 1 with a normal expression, 1 with a little bit angry expression, and 1 with a really angry expression, but he almost looks like he's happy at the same time. Here he is, with his first head. This one has a helmet on, and has that weird, creepy look from Man of Steel. And then we have his semi-transparent helmet. I remember when Superman sort of damaged his helmet, and it was sort of flickering. I believe that's what this one is supposed to be. Then the Earth's atmosphere made him weak, at least temporarily. Here's his first unmasked head. This one has the likeness of Michael Shannon, and has a fairly normal expression. And you can put the semi-transparent helmet on top of the unmasked head. Pretty cool effect, just like in the film. Here's his second unmasked head. This one has a little bit of teeth exposed. He's angry. And here's his last unmasked head. You can see even more of his teeth. He's angry, but he also looks happy at the same time. Like he's happy he's killing Superman, or possibly Supergirl. Now we have his swappable forearm armor and the blade. Now one piece has a blade slot, one doesn't. I don't really understand why they even have swappable pieces. They could have just left it in there with the blade spot, remove the blade. Now the promo pictures showed him holding the blade in his right arm, but this piece actually matches the left forearm armor more so than the right one. But I guess you could swap it with either piece. Here he is, with the regular forearm armor without the blade slot, and here with the blade version of the forearm armor attached. I will say 2 complaints so far about the arms. First of all, the hands. They can be a little bit difficult to get to fully secure on there. They fall off easily if you don't have them fully on there. And then the forearm armor, it's really hard to push it far enough back onto his right arm to fit the hand on as well. Just a couple minor nitpicks. It can be worked through, but difficult. Now let's talk about his cape. In the movie, he had a cape for some of it, and then it caught on fire at one point, he threw it to the ground, and you really never saw it again. So he's got this black cape. Pretty large. It has some holes in it, a little bit tattered, as you can see. It's got a bendy wire that goes all the way from one side to the other, so you can do some posing and take some shapes. Little slit there for his neck. Here's General Zod without the cape on. So the cape itself is kind of complex to attach. So you have his armor, which you can potentially take off, but you want this part and this part to be against the figure. So you have to kind of slide this part up and slip the cape inside here, sort of pulling it through a little bit. As long as you get that slit where his head can go through, it really should look about like this. That way, you have this part on his body, this stuff can still attach, and the cape's floating around, and then you have the shoulder pads and neck piece above the cape. And then here he is with the cape attached. Now it's a little bit difficult to get everything to sort of stay flush, but it doesn't look too bad. As long as you have the armor tucked in here, it sort of secures itself. Now the cape should go through this sort of narrow thing back here. It's a little bunched up because it's kind of narrow. I'm going to have to mess with it and try to get it to look a little better. but you should have the sort of neck piece and the shoulder pads on top, and then underneath, that's how it should look. Now, that is how it's intended to go. The cape almost seems like it's a little bit too big to fit out of that narrow slot in the back, because you have to have it further back than the shoulder pads, at least a little bit there for it to work properly and everything to sit flush. But that is what you're going for with the cape look. Now, the cape itself has a bendy wire. You can't bend it, say go into one side in the wind. It has very wide sort of stretching. It's a very big cape. A little bit too big for what you need, but I like that. You could have him definitely flying, doing some pretty cool poses in the background. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 6.6, maybe 6.7 inches tall, which can translate to between 16 and 17 centimeters. Just around the size you'd expect for a Mezco figure. That's exactly what I wanted from this guy. And for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, you can rotate side to side. You can look up and down a little bit. Kind of tilt his head a little bit as well. Now my heads, the hole seems way too big for the peg here. They don't stay on very securely. Shoulder pads go up and down. They will move out of the way. Shoulders themselves go out about 90 degrees until they're stretched by the fabric down here. You can go up about that far till they're stretched capacity. It does feel like you have a little bit of forward back motion. Not exactly butterfly joint, just a little bit of give there. Bicep cut below that. He's got double jointed elbows, but the armor kind of pushed against this one, doesn't let it go too much further in than that. Although I know it's capable of more, as you saw at the beginning. The wrists can rotate, and I guess it's a little bit hinged. My hands also fall off kind of easily. His torso does a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. If there's anything else in here, the armor's really restricting that. Legs, they only go out about this far. You can see the fabric stretching to capacity. They go forward about that much. Back, not at all. There's a little bit of rotation there. Double jointed knees. Then the ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock. So it's pretty good, but the fabric is going to restrict a lot, and the armor is restricting some more on top of that. Here's Jor-El talking to General Zod. General Zod is accusing him of ruining Krypton, stealing the Codex. And here's General Zod stabbing Jor-El. His plan is to get the Codex and restart Krypton on a different planet. Unfortunately, things are not what they seem. The Codex has been hidden in his son Kal-El and sent away to Earth. Years later, General Zod and his fellow Kryptonian followers have escaped the Phantom Zone. They've made it all the way to Earth, hunting for Kal-El and the Codex. Zod sends some of his Kryptonians down to Earth to fetch Superman and bring him up to the ship. Superman finally meets General Zod, starts to figure out his plan. Superman ends up escaping to fight another time. General Zod, in an attempt to lure out Superman, threatens his mother, comes down, tries to see if the Codex is in the pot he came in, and of course it's not. Superman comes out of nowhere, punches General Zod, and says, "Do you think you can threaten my mother?" Superman punched him so hard and so many times that it messed up his mask. He's starting to breathe Earth's atmosphere, and it's giving him all of Superman's powers, but it's overwhelming at first. The other Kryptonians have to literally drag Zod back. He's in no condition to fight, but he wants Superman so bad. After Zod's ship takes off, there are 2 Kryptonians left. Superman has to defend Earth against them. I always thought it would have been cool to see Batfleck show up at the end of Man of Steel. What would he have been able to do against all those Kryptonians to help Superman defend Metropolis? In the film, Superman defeated General Zod and protected Earth, but things could have very easily gone the other way. Here's a look at what if General Zod and his Kryptonians killed Superman and took over the Earth. And we may not have got to see Ben Affleck's Batman fight these Kryptonians, but we damn sure got a chance to see Michael Keaton's Batman do it in The Flash. And we also got to see him kill Supergirl numerous times. Now let's check him out. Next is some other action figures, starting off with some other General Zod figures. Here's this PSERTOYS General Zod, next to the older Mattel Movie Masters Man of Steel General Zod. Both these figures have the masked and unmasked looks. And I did get 4 of these General Zod figures from deep discount way back in the day, and it's times like now that I'm glad I did. did head swaps on all of them to use as random Kryptonians in General Zod's army. Mattel also made a General Zod figure with the armor off, and that's what I wonder what the PSERTOYS would look like if you took all of his armor pieces off. Here he is, next to a couple of McFarlane DC Multiverse comic General Zod figures. Then, next to a couple of versions of the Ghost of General Zod from McFarlane's DC Multiverse Page Puncher line. Here are all of my different General Zod figures by Mattel, McFarlane, and PSERTOYS. Here's General Zod next to a Mattel Jor-El, Superman's father. He killed him at the beginning of Man of Steel. And here he is next to 5 different Mattel Henry Cavill Superman figures. Here he is next to a Mafex Henry Cavill Superman. Then, next to a couple of Mezco Henry Cavill Superman figures. And now, next to a couple of McFarlane DC Multiverse Henry Cavill Superman figures. And now, next to several different McFarlane figures from the Flash film. Michael Keaton Batman, Supergirl, and 2 versions of the Barry Allen Flash. All 4 of these characters faced off against Zod in the Flash film. Here are all the PSERTOY figures that I have. We have the modern black and gray Batman, General Zod, and the Batman Who Laughs. And here he is, next to a NECA engineer from Prometheus. They have a pretty similar look, especially considering they both have that breathing apparatus that goes under their armor. They both kind of look like an elephant's trunk. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a PSERTOYS figure, they're similar to Mezco, 6-inch scale. I'm going to start with my comparisons with some of the smaller action figure lines that I collect, and work way larger. Here he is, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures, and some SH Figure Arts action figures. And now, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends and Mafex figures, here's General Zod, next to a black and white Cookie. And here he is, next to some Mattel and Mezco figures. Then, with both some Jazzwares and Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some NECA and DC Direct figures. Next, with some DST or Diamond Select toys, and some Jack-specific wrestling figures. And finally, with some McFarlane DC Multiverse Superman figures. So overall, this PSERTOYS General Zod is a fantastic figure. He does have his flaws, and they are: I'm still having a little trouble getting the hands to stay on the wrists firmly. The heads don't seem to peg on properly. They do stay on fine, but they don't really sort of snap or click in. The cape is fantastic, but it's very frustrating to attach that thing. I don't even want to take it off. His articulation is prohibited by both the armor pieces and the fabric undersuit. Now, the good stuff, the armor looks excellent. Painted very nicely in sort of a metallic, shiny silver paint job, but it's worn, kind of black as well. The face looks great. I love that helmeted sort of freaky face right there. I was very pleased to see that some of the armor pieces can be removed, exposing some different things on top of the fabric suit. I really like the transparent helmet. That's a really nice touch. If I were to rate this guy, my first thought is to give it 8 out of 10, but he does have a lot of things going against him that make it hard to give him that high of a score. I've enjoyed this guy a lot, had a lot of fun doing the action scenes. But say, I'm going to give this guy a 7.5. The articulation restrictions are not very much. The cape thing still looks fantastic when you assemble it properly. He does have some issues with the gauntlets, and just some things just don't seem to quite fit the way they should. So maybe I'm overscoring him, but the figure's a lot of fun, and he looks great. Fits in fantastic with your Mezco stuff, just like it's supposed to. I always ask myself, when you're getting a third-party unauthorized unlicensed figure, when it's a 1/12 scale cloth soft goods, is it as good as Mezco? The answer is, this guy is damn close. No, it's not as good as Mezco, but it is a close second, just right behind him. I felt that way about all the PSERTOYS figures I have, the Batman Who Laughs, the sort of Hush Batman, and now General Zod. They're all just a tad below Mezco quality. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.